called Koi's parents into the office and said, actually, we've had a change of policy. We would like Koi to use either the male bathroom or the nurse's bathroom. Jeremy and Catherine said that that would really be like putting a scarlet letter on her that tells everyone that she's transgender and really setting her up for harassment and bullying. And it really is, a separate but equal policy. So they decided that they were not okay with that. They wanted Koi to be able to use the little girl's room just like any other little girl, and that's what set this fight into motion.
When you have a civil rights issue, somebody has to be on the front line, and this family was on the front line, and that was what our film became about.
In a sense, it's easy to be on the side of a heroic little child who's taking risks that she doesn't even really understand, and will only understand by looking at your film. But nevertheless, how were you challenged here in terms of your point of view as journalists, as filmmakers?
We really had to think hard about how are we going to tell this story about a 6-year-old. So we decided early on we would not ask Koi direct questions about her gender identity or anything that might put her on the spot.
You guys show such restraint. No direct questions. What is it in your heart that you would love to say to this little child?
Well, I'm actually fascinated to see how Koi will see the film as she grows older. And in a couple of years, after she goes on hormone blockers and goes into adolescence and becomes an adult, I'm curious to know what this period in her life will mean to her. Her parents, I think that their mentality from the beginning was that they were trying to make her life better in the future. She, in many ways, was on the forefront, and she was this sacrificial lamb. And for the transgender rights movement, and for all transgender people to be able to use bathrooms associated with how they identify. So I'm curious to see how she feels about all this 10 years from now. That's my curiosity.
But just to add to that, this case, when it was decided, they won the case in Colorado. But it did have and continues to have ripple effects around the country. Shortly after that case, California enacted a law that protected its transgender students on one side, and then you have states like North Carolina, Texas, and others who are going the other direction. And of course, we have the Supreme Court case lined up right now, coming up in March or April, about a student in Virginia who is transgender, about bathrooms. And so, this case set a precedent that's affected so many people around the country, making lives better for transgender people.
What would you say, if you could say something right now?
Being able to use the bathroom at 6 years old, it's one victory, but there are many more challenges in store for Koi and all transgender kids as they get older. Transgender students are more apt to be bullied, harassed. There's a higher suicide rate for transgender teenagers than the rest of the general population. So I would just tell Koi to stay strong, and if she can be as strong moving forward as she was at 6 years old, she's going to be in a good place, and she's got parents who love her very much, and that counts for a lot.